started always seeing 1117. So I even messaged it to Annika in our group chat, or our group chat of 2 people.
Followers here, guys. Take care of what's up.
It's like interdimensional access to your WhatsApp.
There's enough going on in there for a 20-person group. I was also at that time so into this concept of quantum leaping into your dream reality. And I had this playlist on YouTube of like all different guided meditations that were about that. And I would like try different ones all the time. I'm taking a nap and I lay down and put on one of these meditations, Quantum Leap to Your Dream Reality. And in the guided meditation, she describes that I'm laying in bed, which I was, and that I open my eyes and I look at the clock and it's 11:17. And I was like, did she really just say that? And I opened my eyes and looked at the clock and it was 11:17. Wow. And I was like, what the and she's continuing to talk and she's like, the angel number of quantum leaping into your dream reality. And I look at the description of this video because this was literally a glitch moment where I was like, is this saying what I think it's saying? And the whole description, nothing in the thumbnail or the title that I had seen was like all randomly about how 1117 was the angel number of quantum leaping into your dream reality.
Oh yeah, that's the odd.
When I got into like paying attention to numbers, the numbers are really big because even, you know, I talk about money and real estate and stuff like that. So your address is really important. But my number when I first started paying attention was 1017.
What?
And 1017, of course, a 1 and a 7 is 8, and 8 is a money number. Like 8 is wealth and prosperity and abundance. And 1117, right? That would be 8, 9, 10 master number, right? Mm-hmm. 1 and 0 completion.
Mm-hmm. So why did you like 1017? What's up with the completion and the 8?
That just happened. Well, it had some meanings to me, like at the time, but it more like started to open up my consciousness to like paying attention to numbers. So everyone knows when you talk about angel numbers, they think of like 222, 444. They think about the triple digits, right? But then I had another experience where I kept having 4s and 2s. So I had 424 and 4224. And I was like, why do I keep seeing this number? And then like one of my first like properties had an address 4224. And I was like, it's a really cool number because there are 2 multiples of 8. So it's also like 4224. So 4 plus 4 is 8. And then you have 2 by 2, which is 4. So they're all multiples of each other. So I really love the number 8 because it's wealth, abundance, prosperity. So I also by default ended up really getting into the 4s and 2s as like bizarre multiples, right? So I don't know where I'm going with that, but then now I have another property that has 8, 8, and 8 has a triple 8 in it. So
do you look for them to have a specific number? Or do you find they like find you?
They just find me. Especially when it comes to money too. I think about I like the repetitive numbers because the numbers have meaning, and numbers and money is its own language. So there's relevance to me. You know,
one of our Kundalini teachers, Barbie, she's huge into numerology, and she would do the Kundalini based on the numerology. So like whatever the numerology of the month was, she would like pick a Kriya, pick a meditation, and we'd like go deep into that energy. And
that's part of the theme.
She was very into like 8s, 28s for like the same reason, abundance. And I've been into numerology myself. I actually like love it because I feel like it's very clear and to the point. It's not very like, up to somebody's poetic interpretation. It's like very universal meanings. And it also like, I think the numbers try to awaken people from the matrix all the time, because I know a lot of people have this experience too. And my first experience with numerology did not come from me like reading about numerology. It came from me being like, why the fuck am I seeing these numbers all the time? Yeah. To the point where it's so crazy that like you have to Google it and then you find out what it means, and then like something unfolds in the reality. Like I kept seeing 808 so much when I was like deep in this like kind of darkish place in my life, and I was just like, what is happening? What could this mean? And I Google it and I find someone that like the first thing I read was like the number's trying to tell you you're about to come into a large sum of money by surprise. And like 808 could mean a lot of things, but like that's the first thing I read, and I'm sure it was like the breadcrumb. Yeah, Hawaii too, which I moved like years later. But no joke, like a month and a half later, I found out that like my grandma had like left me this large sum of money, which I never had anyone leave me money before, and I didn't expect it at all because she had passed away like quite a while ago.
Wow.
And then I was like,
you were getting signs from the.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is like. Then I started getting really into like the numerology and the numbers, and ever since then, moving to LA actually has been insane with angel numbers because I have never seen more angel numbers than in the City of Angels itself. And when I first got here, like I'd never seen 777 so often. I mean, like. I don't even know if I had ever noticed seeing it before. And when I got here, I was seeing it everywhere all the time, like 3 7s, 4 7s, left, right. And then I would start seeing all the other ones too. But I remember asking my friend who'd like lived here for a while, I was like, do you notice more angel numbers here than you do in other places? And she was like, 100%. It's like, I think it's like a thing about like being the City of Angels. Like there actually is like such an angelic presence and energy here.
There's something to say about that.
Oh yeah, I would love to.
Yeah.
Well, because I think it's like a polarity. There's also like a lot of, any place that has a lot of powerful energy, there's like vortexes for the light spectrum. And a vortex for the dark.
Yeah.
But 777, I think 7 is also specifically very connected to certain like angelic beings, and so that's like why also I don't see 777 or 7777 specifically that much when I'm outside of LA, but here I see it all the time, like almost every single day.
7, so 7 means that you're on the path. Right, so when you see, and 777 is like applause. That's like good job, like you're on the path.
Yeah, and the destiny path.
Really, nobody. It's not something that you can like patent and own the meaning of a number, right? It's just like something that is more of like the collective conscious.
Right.
Assumption,
I want to know,
right?
which this question never crossed my mind until we're having this conversation right now, but why are they called angel numbers? Like, it's a cute name, and I love angels, and I love the repeating numbers, but like, what is the connection?
I think the concept is that like
it's an angel message.
Yeah, it's
message
like,
from your angels.
Yeah,
I think it's almost like an etheric message. Like it's a higher vibrational message, and it started, and I don't know why.
It's a message from outside the matrix.
Yeah,
basically.
It's kind of like how chapstick. Everyone calls it chapstick, even if it's not the brand chapstick. I think it's kind of the same thing with angel numbers. Not every single one is like, but I do think certain ones, like I think 777 is a very angelic one. I think the triple of the same exact number specifically are known as to be angel numbers, and then every number is a code, so they can mean different things. But the thing is, so for example, many people who think 666 is like a satanic number has like kind of like not the best connotation of 666, but for example, like from my experience and from certain forms of numerology, 6 is like a very like meditative destiny number. Like in Kundalini, it gets associated to the 6th body, which is the arc line. It's like the halo that's around all the saints. And so like 666 can also mean very like, in terms that I've come across, it's like kind of your spiritual path in a way. And I've heard that like it's gotten distorted and like inverted and portrayed badly because it's such a powerful number. But I don't know, what do you think? When
I've looked into that, I'm just going off of like I would see numbers and then I'd be like, okay, Google it. What does that mean? Because it's more about like your consciousness recognizing that there's something there and something's telling you to pay attention to it, right? So that's like where it starts. And then I started seeing, I had the 1017 thing, but then I started seeing 1111, and of course 1111 is like awakening. You're like the beginning of your rising consciousness. 1111, I would see every day all over the place. 1111, it would just pop up at the most crazy times. And so I started paying attention. I started like Googling and just learning from my own experience, like what do the numbers represent and what do I want them to, for me? Because part of it is choosing, it's a tool, right? It's like choosing what does it mean to you and how can you use it? So that when I've looked up the 6s, especially like the 666, from my recollection, that would always come at a time where I felt like I was out of balance. And so like that would tell you kind of like you're thinking too much with your carnal mind, you're a little bit out of balance, or maybe you're like worried. That to me was like the representation of that. So, but of course it had different meanings for everybody. It's not like, there's no like exact meaning of what it's supposed to mean. It's more like, how do you relate to it?
Yang talks about that. And I've been so into that recently of perceiving my physical reality as like a symbolic interface, and there's these potent symbols in the collective unconscious. I would definitely include numbers in there.
Absolutely.
But he also talks so much about how, like when he does the dream interpretations, there can be a symbol that holds so much weight in the collective unconsciousness, which is almost easier to objectively interpret. But when it's something that is a little bit more mundane, it's what does that symbolize to you? Because it's like a symbolic map of your consciousness. And we talk about how, like, be it a given moment or anything, like a certain energetic essence, it's like you can translate it across these different spectrums of like color, language, sound, like number. And so there's like these codes of everything. And like we've even talked about how before, like even if I were to pick up like a random receipt, like all those different numbers are symbols that my consciousness generated to like reflect back to me my internal or like super conscious
the energy,
state.
the codes, the energy, the frequency.
So it's like breadcrumbs from either your past self, your future self. And I feel like when you start, it's like anything where when you first get acquainted with like a body of knowledge, you kind of know the basics and the principles. But as you become familiar with those, like you can kind of go deeper where like once you know the meanings of individual numbers, your mind kind of can't help but like decode like short sequences. And so then you start notice like more nuance and more subtlety in whatever kind of pattern that you are looking for. And it's like you get these breadcrumbs that is kind of like clues. Like it was reminding me when you were talking about the 8s and the 2s and the 4s, and then there was the address, and it's like, okay, you're kind of like following this path. And recently I've been having the number 34. And then
seven.
Which is 7, and it's been 34, 34, and like coming up in all these different ways. And another thing, just a side note that I've really been noticing is like increasing or decreasing sequences. And if it's like 4, 5, 5, 6, like what's that mean? Or like 1, 2, 3, 4 versus like 1, 2, 3, 3. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But it's like with the 3, 4, I just noticed yesterday or day before that 34 is one of the Fibonacci numbers. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34.
Wow. Okay.
And I was like, oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. That's my little statement.
The one thing that I'll say too, and then we should talk about the water briefly.
Yes.
But yeah, right.
We have a lot of water.
Lots of water. So, but yeah, like what you're talking about in terms of like energy, frequency, like numbers, just like a word or an idea or an intention has energy and frequency. And so I think there's a lot of relevance to that. Of course, we assign our own meaning to all those symbols, whether it's a word or an idea or, you know, a number, right? We're the ones assigning meaning to it because we understand conceptually what it means, but it has its own unique pattern and signature and meaning based on what it means to us. But then I started looking at, you know, because it started almost becoming like pop culture, right? To see like 333, 444, like the sequential triple angel numbers. But I started getting a lot more signs of just double digits, 22, 33, 99. And I'm like, well, that's essentially the same thing. It's just like keeping you more aware on a micro level that like these sequences exist and these patterns exist. And it's really just a form of like having an awareness of your own ability to recognize patterns, understanding pattern recognition, and being able to understand kind of like decoding your own mind.
100%, like in externalization of, yeah, exactly. And one of our favorite, I don't even know what to call them, like modern day.
Are you talking about a certain polymath?
Yeah. Robert Edward Grant will talk about how like every single thing is like there are no coincidences, and like if you think something's a coincidence, you just don't recognize the pattern. And so I feel like it's almost just like the more and more you learn exactly pattern recognition or like the baseline knowledge you need to like recognize these even more complex patterns, the deeper you're able to go into, decoding your reality. And like, I feel like it's all just this game between us and like our higher multidimensional self who's like feeding us different things to wake us up, to teach us this, to make us more aware of that thing. It's almost like we're in some sort of Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones, I don't know, like mission, but where we're decoding it. But it's like, I feel like it's just like within the realm of our multidimensional consciousness that knows like what we would connect to and pick up and relate to. Like, for example, me picking up the 808s, it's like, I feel like it's like something was feeding me those 808s. Like, it never feels like it's just me when I'm like, I recognize this thing, and then like, most of our WhatsApp thread is like us decoding our realities and being like this and this and this.
Yeah.
And then we'll be like, but it's so crazy because it's nice to have somebody that you tell, oh, I'm picking up on this and it seems like it means something, but I'm not sure what it is yet. And then boom, it becomes the most crazy, insane manifestation of like why we were being fed that code by the simulation, because it actually equals this, and that. And then boom, that happens in our physical reality. And it's like, oh my God, I have a witness.
That becomes the most craziest thing once you start to see it happen, and then you get the feeling and you're like, let me just put this out there because of how out of left field it would have been that I clocked this energy.